Go ahead and click on that video if you want to hear some crap about that. That's a terrible segue. On this channel, we've already discussed the identity of Bannon and what fate awaits him in the world of ruin in Final Fantasy VI. If you haven't seen that video, there's a card coming in hot right now. But is Gogo a little more than just a funny character you can find in the depths of some creature somewhere? No, fellow returners. Gogo's identity has been debated for decades. And I've come up with a theory yet again that I think outsmarts all of them. Oh, and to the fellow that pointed out that Sabin would have recognized Duncan while disguised as Bannon in that video that I linked to in the card. No, he wouldn't. In fact, go back and play through the Mount Colt section yourself. He doesn't even recognize his own brother until he speaks to him. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get to the theories. Let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room and get this out of the way. Gogo from Final Fantasy VI is just Gogo from Final Fantasy V. They're both mimics dressed in colorful robes, and I completely hear you out on that one. When I originally came up with the concept of this video months ago, that was the route I was gonna take also. And truthfully, it just kind of fits, so case solved, right? Nope. Not even close. The theory I see most floating around is the one that states that Gogo is DARYL, Setzer's love interest that we learn about during the first part of the second half of the game. When we go through the scene, it's stated that DARYL crashed in a distant land, and that distant land could be the Triangle Island, where DARYL was sucked into his own eater or whatever this thing is. And boom, Gogo. But maybe not. See, there's too many plot holes with this one. Firstly, I really think DARYL would have revealed herself immediately after seeing Setzer. They were way too close for this not to happen. Plus, I mean, the airship crashed. The game states that the wreckage was found a full year later, although nothing is stated about finding DARYL's remains, which leaves a hole big enough open for this whole thing to come to light to begin with. But I just don't buy it. I mean, yes, I suppose DARYL didn't reveal herself to Setzer because maybe after crashing she had amnesia. But I don't know, you really gotta stretch it in order to get to that point. I mean, the location of that place is literally called DARYL's tomb. Now, before we get to my theory, which I think the developers put in a little bit of proof, there is one more theory that I see all the time, and that is Gogo is Emperor Gestalt. But I'm just gonna go ahead and dismiss this one anyway because there's hardly any evidence to back this one up. And since I brought up Gogo from Final Fantasy V thing, the only other piece of evidence that supports this, and honestly it's pretty solid, is that Final Fantasy VI's Gogo's desperation attack is called Punishing Meteor. And Final Fantasy V's Gogo casts Meteor in the battle to punish the party for not mimicking Gogo correctly. But let's just move on to my theory. Gogo, as mentioned in the thumbnail, is BARAM. Who's BARAM, you may ask? Let me get you up to speed real quick, it'll just take a minute. So through a series of 5 dreams that the ever-lovable master of bedside manner Shadow has throughout the game, we learn that Shadow's real name is Clyde, and that he had a partner named BARAM, and together they rob places, eventually calling themselves the Shadow Bandits, or just Shadow in the Super Nintendo release. By the way, Shadow really isn't any lovable master of anything. In fact, in the Super Nintendo release, it stated that, quote, he'd slit his mama's throat for a nickel, so I don't know about that one. So back to the dreams. In one of the dreams, BARAM is wounded really badly and asks Clyde to basically finish him off. But Clyde declines and moves on, leaving BARAM to whatever fate may have in store. But stop right there. Does that location look familiar? It should. That location is the same as when you jump down the waterfall, end up on the Veldt, and meet Gao for the first time. The town that Clyde references in this dream is the town of Mobliz, just to the east. So if we pull out our trusty world map of Final Fantasy VI, would you just look at that? Triangle Island is just to the north of Mobliz. And on Triangle Island is where you fight the Zone Eaters that suck the party in, and boom, there's Gogo. Even in the world of Ruin, the distance is about the same. So it isn't too much of a stretch to think that BARAM, with the cut of his 1 million gil they stole during the train robbery referenced in dream number 3, paid people off to hide him, and he made his way north to Triangle Island to hide from anyone looking for him. What, you need some more proof? Put on these glasses, we finna figure it out. During dream number 1, BARAM tells Clyde to, quote, find him here. The problem is the background is totally black and we can't really see where here is. But can we hear where it is? Just listen. Could that be the inner workings of a Zone Eater, complete with a similar sound to when it eats the party? It's not quite a one-for-one comparison, but I mean, it's pretty close. Maybe it just sounds different from the inside. The other dreams that we find with Shadow in our party don't really have BARAM in them too much, as it mainly focuses on Clyde and his daughter. But there is one more piece of evidence left that I found while watching the end credit sequence, literally the morning I wrote this script. Take a look at Gogo's helmet. Do you see the glowing eye? It's very deliberately the left eye, as not even a glow can be seen on the right side. Now let's look at BARAM's sprite. He has an eye patch on his left eye. And there's more to this too, and it gets crazy crazier from here. In a previous video, I mentioned that Gogo was given the identity of a male, based on an unused shop price modifier in the game, and, well, BARAM is a male. Also, the point can be made that since Gogo has subpar stats, that is a result of BARAM being nearly mortally wounded in that dream mentioned earlier. And also, again, according to some smarter people than me that I found on a Final Fantasy forum, they posit that BARAM has two personalities that embody Shadow as a whole entity. A ghost BARAM and a living Shadow were Clyde. In this theory, Clyde is the one who killed Duncan, and that's when the split happened. And the ghost Shadow plays the role of an undertaker. Or maybe he's even in charge of bringing people back to life. Maybe Sabin actually died while on the river. Maybe Cyan perished in a poison attack on Doma and Shadow brought them back. I mean, after both of these events is when they visit the Phantom Train, a train that takes people to the afterlife. So maybe this is worth looking into, I don't know. I really think Gogo is BARAM. The left eye sparkled thing kind of sealed that deal for me, really. But what do you think? Is Gogo any of these characters I mentioned, or is Gogo just Gogo? Or maybe he's Congressman and former Illinois Governor ADLAI Stevenson. The joke here is that ADLAI Stevenson made reference to jumping bridges and blind men running around trying to knock you off, which is pretty specific to the stage you visit right before getting Gogo. And the fact that he has a quote that says, "I haven't achieved such level of mimicry with my own party, but I'm working on it." But anyway, did you know that there's gonna be a Final Fantasy IX animated series geared towards children? And that very recently it's been seen by people outside of the animation group? Go ahead and click on that video if you want to hear some crap about that. That's a terrible segue. Go ahead and click on this video over there if you want to see that.